Yeah, yeah, baby. Hoorah! Smart warriors. Ah, they laughed at me. Huh, they didn't believe I could do it. I believed. A lot of sweat and tears. I went as far as I could, but they weren't laughing anymore. What am I talking about? When I started lifting weights, wanting to get bigger, I always had this infatuation with big muscles for some reason. I remember being, couldn't have been, I had to be less than 10 years old, or maybe like 6 or 8, being in my mom's station wagon. And if you remember, those of you who are old enough, I'll age myself here, station wagon, sitting in the seat that flipped up in the back so you could look at the back window while your parents are driving forward, and they had no seatbelts. Anyways, I remember going down my block in Central Islip and seeing these guys out front lifting weights, and I don't know, how big they were, but they were really big to me, and I thought that was cool. And so when I was like around 14, 15, I started lifting a little bit, reading the books, getting some magazines. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I guess, was big at the time and still is, but was a bodybuilder. And I used to call him Arnold not Schwarzenegger, because I couldn't say his name. But I remember watching Hercules one day in my uncle's house in Massapequa. I think it was Broadway. He's right on the water. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be like that one day. And they all laughed at me because I was a skinny little kid. In ninth grade, I remember trying out for the football team. I weighed 98 pounds. You know how I remember? Because I remember getting those index cards and writing them down. And the coaches would go through the cards. And obviously, the first day, you got to be there, right? So I didn't know nothing about nothing. And they would go through these cards. And, if the kids weren't there that weren't big, they just got tossed aside. And then if you get a card and you're like, oh, he's not here, but he weighs 175 pounds, they kept it. So right there I knew, my naive, I don't know what the hell you want to call it, naive ability or whatever it is, showed me that, there's always going to be some favorites to certain things. But again, I started lifting, and I started getting bigger and bigger, and every month or so my mom says, "Are you big enough? Are you big enough?" And I just kept eating more and working out harder and harder. And then I started going to the gym. And then in school, in 10th grade, I remember there was, you be that part of the gym you can lift. So I was like, I'm going to do that. And all the football players were there. And I remember, by the time my senior year came around, or my junior year, my football coach asked me if I wanted to play football. I put on, 30 somewhat pounds in a year, and, I worked really hard at it. I wasn't the greatest athlete, so, didn't do too well there, but, I thought that was kind of cool. And I remember, the leaders in the class, and, when in the gym, you made a leader because, of your athletic ability and, never quit attitude kind of thing. I had a friend, and he's still a friend, lives in Connecticut. And his name was Anthony Corrado, and he had freaking huge arms, man. I was like, that's the coolest thing. He used to run around, he used to live across the street from me diagonally. And I used to watch him in the gym. And it's so funny, me and him had these little competitions to see who was getting bigger, and that was pretty cool. Good dude. So what I'm just trying to say is, they laughed at me, but I eventually got there. I started going into bodybuilding competitions and doing well, and I eventually became a very highly ranked amateur bodybuilder and powerlifter, and it was kind of cool. And I think back at, the people that laughed at me, but I never quit. I always believed in myself. I always believed I could do it, and I did it. And you can do it. And the same thing, man. Anything that you want to do in life, if you're committed enough, and that's the whole thing, man, you got to be committed. You know, anything you do, like when you're in the bodybuilding field, you know, you got to be there. You got to do your cardio in the morning. You got to go back. You got to lift again, and you got to do the posing, and you got to do all the work to get to where you got to get. And so it's a lot of damn work, just like anything in life. But you can do it. But you got to be committed, and you got to be disciplined, and you got to have the vision. You know, if you could see it first, right? Everybody knows this. You could see it first. Then you have a goal. If you can see it, you can achieve it, right? So you just got to keep pushing. So that's my part one, right? That's my part one. And speaking of my friend Anthony, his sister Christine is on. Hi, Christine. I forgot the heck what I was even saying. So anyways, okay, again. You could do whatever it is that you really put your heart to. If you put the dedication and time and effort and work really hard, and the things that you don't know, you got to learn, right? So actually, this is actually a part one. I'm gonna have another thing next time I do one. Tomorrow, Sunday. I don't train on Sunday, so it would be Monday. I'm gonna do part two with some other part of my life. You know, for a lot of things in my life, people told me I couldn't do it. You know, but I just had the courage, and I knew I could. You know, courage is not the absence of fear. It's being able to look fear in the face and kick its ass and keep moving forward. So, warriors, that's it for today. Warriors, no fears. No excuses for anything. No limitations. Oh, and I hope everybody had a fantastic Christmas. You know, God bless for that. The birth of our Lord. Unbelievable. Anyways, God bless. Most of all, be a blessing to others. Love you guys.